Hey everybody, happy Saturday. This is Kristen here. I wanted to share a little something that had gone on from late last week into Monday of this week. And at the risk of sounding a little crazy, we recently came through a scenario, some of my ladies and I, where it was like a simulation within the simulation. Like, this world is a simulation, right? So many of us already know that. If you don't, then you will. But it was a simulation of what is to come. You know, I talk often about shadow work and holding the light for people and being the light. Well, this scenario happened, and the only reason I call it a simulation is because we did all come out unscathed, I believe, so far. No permanent damage, I don't think. But we all had an opportunity to see our greatest fear, or the thing that we would call our vulnerability, right? Our kryptonite was exposed. And each one of us second guessed our authority, our own authority and our own power. And we did really great with following our intuition for a while, but this other party that was introduced supposedly sicked some demons and things out there on us, and we were made to feel like we needed help to navigate, and it had to be exclusively this person who could help us. And it turned out not to be the case. This person was being used as a scapegoat in the whole scenario. And I call it a scenario because I think that it's a simulation of what is coming down the road. You know, I claim to be a light, and I claim to hold the light for other people. And, you know, I have been doing my shadow work, and I have been balancing the two sides of myself and bringing my own self into harmony, you know. And I do live in the light, and I am very positive, and I'm joyful for the most part, you know. Like, I feel like there's a lesson in a lot of things, and I feel like I see point A to point B, and I don't get stuck. Not really. So I feel like this was a scenario kind of basically challenging us to see if we were at the top of our game, to see if we were ready, to offer us an opportunity to see what it might look like down the road, and to see if we really are where we think we are, right? In this whole challenging time, and to see if we were as far down the path in doing our own work as we think we are. And when push came to shove, we kind of lost track, but not for a long time. You know, I was only briefly kind of knocked off my guard, just for a short time, and I said, wait a minute. This person made me think that I needed help, like the light wasn't strong enough to combat the dark. Well, I know better. But for a brief second, I thought I wasn't enough. But looking back, I know. And I chose differently for myself. I don't want to go giving away other people's story or like their part of the challenge, because it's not for me to tell. That's not my story. But I will say that we were all challenged individually, and our kryptonite was used against us, but I think it was for the good of our growth. So that being said, this has been a very unusual week, and I mean, complete with creatures that I've always been told were like mythological creatures. Well, they got a little too close for comfort. Like, I was never sure that they existed, but they do, in terms of fear. Fear brings them out, and fear will keep them fed. So that being said, once we recognized it for what it was, we were able to stop feeding them. And we did have some outside help of this magical person that very knowledgeable. So it was a very unusual week, and I know that this is a very cryptic video, and I don't mean for it to be that way, but I want to encourage you to do your own inner work. Work with your shadow sides. All the things that you want to keep hidden, don't. They will be brought to light, and you will have to reckon with them at some point, whether it's now or when this shit hits the fan. I think that it's important to find love for all aspects of self, because it will be used against you, and it will be the thing that feeds the monsters, literal or figurative, whatever. Like, do your work. If you need help figuring out where your wounds still lie, where your shadows still hide, reach out. That's the stuff that I do on a regular basis. That's the energy work that I do. Oh, whoops. Lights went out. That's the work that I do regularly on myself and with other people. It's hard to describe exactly what I do anymore, because I don't freaking know. It's made a lot of different corners and added different layers and levels and floors, and I don't even know. But what I do no longer has like a single heading or box that it fits in, because that's just not a thing. Like, I listen to my ancestors, I listen to their wisdom and their guidance. That's the thing that got me to purchase the crystals that I needed, purchase them and put them out in certain places with a prayer connecting them. And I was able to make a prism around a property that ended up being, something was trying to penetrate the property to get at this person's greatest fear, or greatest, the thing that is her kryptonite. So I followed my guidance, and we together did this thing, following our intuition, and it blows my mind how we were doing so good, and then more things came to light, and it threatened our security. That's what it was. It threatened our security. I like that phrase. So if you understand remotely what I'm talking about and you still have questions, I can give you a little bit more detail, but other people's stories is not for me to tell. Also, to tell the entire tale would only give it more energy, which I'm not willing to do. The thing that I want to address is following your own intuition, and don't second guess yourself. If you need help knowing where your strengths lie, reach out. Because that was the thing that got us all through. And yes, there was some help outside that one of our party did have to seek, because it did threaten our security as a group and our potency together. It was looking to divide us, and we almost let that process be complete, but we caught it at some point, and now we are stronger than ever. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't the things that caused us, to be challenged, were the things that were used against us. It's what started out as a childhood wound ended up being the thing that was used against us. Our greatest fear in childhood was used against us, and we did eventually figure it out, but it took this simulation to remind us, to show us just how ugly it might get. So I know this is very cryptic, and I don't mean for it to be, but trust your instincts, trust your guidance, and work on your shadow stuff. Do the work. Because I know that there are things coming that we don't really foresee, many of us. Even though we know something big is on the horizon, we just don't know exactly what. So, that being said, I hope I didn't scare anybody, because that was not my intention. My intention really was to remind you that you are powerful and that you are much stronger than you've ever been led to believe. And don't let anybody convince you otherwise, especially somebody that you only recently met, especially that person. You are plenty strong enough, and you are very capable. Hang on to your cleansing practices, your grounding practices. Do all the things that keep you spiritually sound.